Hello. Welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm Tomás Garza. I'm your host, and well, happy Tuesday to you. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. And I'm broadcasting live actually at the same time as GP Walsh and Lisa, who are winding up their show, The Flow, right now. And well, I haven't tuned in because I've been in the shower prepping for my life. But hey guys, how are you? All right. And thank you all for again tuning in here. What we're doing on this live stream is we're going through the famous, or if you prefer, infamous workbook for students of A Course in Miracles, which is a collection of 365 ideas. It's only, incidentally, one component of the self-study curriculum called A Course in Miracles. There's also a text which talks about some of these ideas in greater depth. We're going to be referring to that today. And also a manual for teachers, which is like a spiritual themed Q&A, and that's a lot of fun. So in between those two components lies the workbook, and it is the place where a lot of people, not everybody, and it's not required that you do it this way, but a lot of people start A Course in Miracles this way. A lot of people find the text to be at first maybe a little too abstract, and maybe the manual for teachers is something that people want to start out with, or it comes later. But a lot of people start with the workbook, and one of the reasons for that is it's organized into a series of 365 lessons, which are ideas. A lesson is an idea, and it's followed by commentary talking about that idea, and it gives specific instructions for how to go about practicing that idea. This is something that really sets A Course in Miracles apart from a number of spiritual traditions out there, in that it is a self-study curriculum. So you quite literally take what you want to take at a given time. And this means that some people start the workbook and do 15 or 20 lessons, and then they stop and come back to it later. And if that's the case, so be it, right? So be it. Each of these ideas is a presentation of universal truth, which simply is, it is the nature of who we all are, and it simply is. It's beyond all words and all concepts. So here in the world where we need words and we need to, in our minds, our intellectual minds especially, latch on to concepts and begin to garner an understanding, we do that. And we have the workbook for students for this reason, in that it's systematic and it gives us something to do. Whatever your spiritual tradition or traditions are, whatever your practice looks like on a day-to-day basis, we can say, if we've been practicing something or different things long enough, in other words, if we've been in the game long enough, we can say that spirituality is all about experience. In fact, it's not purely about what we believe or we don't believe. We find after a while that that's not enough. It's not enough. We actually have to incorporate that into our experience. We have to integrate that into our lives. In other words, we have to actively apply the teachings that we follow. That, incidentally, is how we know that we have learned them. We do it by sharing. We do it by applying them practically in the midst of your day-to-day life, right here, right now, in the present moment. So I can say with 100% confidence that there is something for everybody in the workbook. If the format is something that doesn't appeal to you, yeah, I understand. A Course in Miracles is very new when it comes to world spiritual traditions. When we think about some of the existing traditions that have been around for thousands of years, like Zoroastrianism, Hinduism, you know. I mean, even early Christianity is 2,000 years old. Buddhism's over 2,000 years old. This was first dictated, the dictation of A Course in Miracles started in the 1960s. First edition wasn't published until 1976. It's pretty new. So these methods appeal to some people and not to others. However, if you do follow A Course, well, you'll know what components most speak to you. And if you don't, there's something in this live stream for everybody. So welcome, and feel welcome to leave comments and questions here. I do have the live stream up. I keep it up while I go live so that after I make a few comments on the idea for the day, we can interact with each other. And incidentally, this applies to whether you're catching me on the replay or whether you see this later on. Obviously, not everybody in the world is able to tune in live. So my aim here is to create a space, a safe space, and a loving space for you to be able to ask questions. Spiritual practice should generate just as many questions as it does answers, sometimes more questions than answers. So if you find yourself asking lots of questions, you're exactly where you need to be. All right, so where we are going in the workbook is today we're looking at lesson 170, which if you were raised in a fundamentalist tradition here in the West, fundamentalist Christian tradition as I was, this may really, really speak to you today, and I hope that it does. The idea that we're working with today is there is no cruelty in God and none in me. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. Let's let this one sit and percolate and stew, yeah, and let it land however it lands with you. Maybe it lands in the form of an aha relief, a direct hit, or maybe you're experiencing resistance to it. Recite it again. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. All right. Many of us were raised with the idea of a jealous God, a vengeful, wrathful, raging being who could strike us down from on high in his might and his complete power and render us smithereens, fried, ash, dust, squash us like a bug. Yeah. And would willingly do it at whim, whenever he deemed appropriate. Why? Because we were sinners and have wronged him. So you may have been raised this way. I was. And you may have been the kid, like I was, who asked questions. Yeah, you may have been that kid who asked questions in Sunday school. And we were told simultaneously the truth that God is love. However, we were also fed the wrath of God, the fear mongering. All of that. They don't go together, do they? I mean, really, as adults, we have to take a step back, sit and contemplate and question this. They don't go together. Course in Miracles tells us that. So for me, this has served as a beautiful confirmation that 11, 12-year-old kid in Sunday school asking questions such as, why would perfect love punish people? That doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Why would perfect love be vindictive? Why would perfect love want to cast somebody out and damn them? I asked that question. I never got, incidentally, a satisfactory response. The most common response from the adults was, well, that's just what it says. It's written. All right, so we all know, because we read people's social media feeds, we read the news media, especially in today's day and age, we all know that just because something is written doesn't make it true. Yeah. How about that? Just because something is written down by somebody at some point in time does not make it true. How do we then uncover or unearth what is true? We trust our gut reaction. We trust ourself. We trust our heart. We trust our guides. Yeah, we trust our teacher. We learn to cultivate trust. Now, in the text that I referenced earlier of A Course in Miracles, there is an entire sequence of events that it talks about that are obstacles to peace that the teacher of God, in other words, you and me, must go through. And the very last one is the fear of God. Now, the fear of God, I live in the United States, it's quite clearly a cultural badge of honor. People say they're multitasking, working an 80-hour work week, and they're doing their due diligence for society, and they're God-fearing. Well, fear, I'm always drawn back to Yoda from Star Wars, who once told Luke, fear is the path of the dark side. And it is. We have a choice between love or fear in any given moment, the present moment. We have a choice between God or the ego. We have a choice between life and death. Really, really, we do. That's the way of it. Now, perfect love is not capable of hatred. It's not capable of any kind of a schism. It's not capable of separating out and parsing what's perfectly whole by itself. In other words, not the body, but us, who we really are. Perfect love doesn't parse out a whole and chop it into little component parts and pit the little component parts against one another. If that doesn't resonate with you, good. Yeah, please allow that to not resonate with you. There is no cruelty in God. Now, what happens when we see ourselves as separate and we believe that there is, we get afraid, right? We become afraid and we fear attack. We believe that our brothers and sisters, other nation states, God himself is going to attack us. We see ourselves as separate, we get nervous. It's the state of mind that we find ourselves in the world. And you don't have to look very far to see that this is playing out right before our very eyes. I mean, we're playing a part in it. We see ourselves as vulnerable. We become afraid, and in what we call self-defense, we may lash out in what in military terms is deemed a preemptive strike. Yeah, we may lash out, and we're prone to. If we don't lash out right away, we'll wait and we'll sit and stew and plot, and then we'll lash out later. This is what happens when we adhere to the ego. When we side with and identify with the ego, it's a state of war. And we've made it all up. There is no cruelty in God and none in us. Nobody in the world is an inherently cruel person. Yes, there are people that are doing very evil things. They're doing it from a sense of mistaken identity. And there's never been a better time to lay down your arms. There is no other time than right now. So how can there be a better time to do it? The best time to lay down your arms and trust in your higher self, to trust your guides, to trust in the power in the universe, love itself. The time is right now. It's not yesterday, and it's not 15 minutes from now, much less your next lifetime. One does not have to wait to experience heaven. It is available to all of us right now, but for the asking. So if you do nothing else today, I really invite you to just consider the day's idea, to consider that there's never been a better time to lay down your arms, and that another course idea, your defenselessness is, in fact, your strength. So if you have comments or questions, please feel welcome to leave them here. As always, it's an honor and my pleasure to be here with you, sharing my experience with A Course in Miracles. If you have particular questions and you wish to ask me privately, as has happened on several occasions before, sometimes when you're on the spiritual path, you've got so much going on that it is a better idea to have a one-on-one conversation. I'm most definitely open to doing that. I am a spiritual coach and teacher, so please feel welcome to reach out if you'd like to have a conversation with me personally. Leave a comment here in the comment thread and we can connect on Facebook Messenger. All right. So I've helped several people in this way, and I'm happy to help you as well if you need that. And if you want to share your questions and comments or just drop in to say hi, of course, feel welcome to do just that. All right, guys, everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again here tomorrow.